But let's continue on with offensive linemen. The people that make the blocks for these guys to be good. So we've got our O line right here. There's a bevy of them. Okay, there's a lot to go through here. So let's just kick things off with Penny Sewell or Penny Sewell, however you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure on which way it is.
Pronunciations are rough with these guys. And you hear it all over the place with the announcers too. We'll get it right at the next level when we hear the professionals saying it.
Exactly. It's what because people in NBC and ABC, aren't going to be screwing up.
No, they're going to get it right. But moving on with Sewell, I love Sewell. I do have him in S tier. He's an absolute bruiser with elite size and speed for an offensive lineman. He's probably a top 10 talent in this draft. He should go in the top 10. Obviously, QBs and the wide receivers are kind of mixing it up, and he could land various places. But back to what I think of him. Could be the next big left tackle in the league. He could be the next star left tackle if everything goes right for him. But if he does struggle, he can kick in and then be an elite guard. He does offer that. So you can't really go wrong picking him if you're a team. Because at worst, you kick him into guard, and now he's an elite guard with his measurables.
Exactly.
The other big benefit for him, he's super young at only 19. He's going to play about half of this next season, I believe, at age 19. So he's got a long way to go. That kind of reminds me of Trey Smith when he came in. Little rough around the edges when he came in. Elite measurables, and then he just burst on the scene as he got a little bit older, and then he was just the guy. As far as negatives on him, there's not a whole lot to say. He does tend to play a bit wide. I did notice that, and he gets his hands out there, and guys can duck underneath him and go through him and allow him to get pushed back. But he can totally fix that with NFL offensive line coaches. But overall, he's not normally going to get pushed back because he's generally going to be stronger and better than any defensive lineman that he's facing. As far as comparisons for him, I see him as a Ronnie Stanley or a Taylor Lewan, like that second tier of left tackle. I don't think he ever quite achieves Tyron Smith level. He's going to be that second tier. But grabbing a guy like that, that's your left tackle for the next decade.
Yeah. I mean,
most important lineman.
Easy franchise left tackle. Easy. Easy. Because also, I have a very interesting stat for him. Just real quick before you get to where you think he's going. We've got a very interesting stat. His freshman year, he allowed 0 sacks on 926 snaps.
You just don't see that.
That's insane.
As basically a high schooler with how young he is, he went up to the college level at a major school, Grant, you at Oregon, against real teams, and he dominated. You just don't ever see that.
It was crazy. It was insane. I saw that stat and I was like, I have to write. I have to talk about this, right? Like that's insane. Yeah. But continue. But where do you think he's gonna go?
Landing spots. He's definitely going at the top of the first round. He should go in the top 10, like I said. So I think maybe the Bengals pick him up. That would be the wisest decision for the Bengals, is to go ahead and snag him and shore up their O-line and finally protect Joe Burrow. It may be even wiser than picking one of those generational wide receivers or Kyle Pitts.
Because probably Joe Burrow just got injured.
It's great and all if you have a great wide receiver, but if your quarterback is over on the bench because his knee's gone, doesn't really matter. But if he slides past the Bengals because they decide to go a different route, I could see him landing with the Panthers now because they don't need a QB anymore.
They don't.
Pick the best player available. And if he manages to slide all the way down, he's not sliding past the Chargers. The Chargers can pick him up to shore up for Justin Herbert because they're in a similar position.
That would be 100%, the way to go. Yeah. If he slides out of the top 10, immediately. Like, but I don't see him slipping out of the top 10. I really see him either going to the Bengals or the Panthers now. Especially like you said, they got their QB. They don't need to draft. They don't need to draft one. Like when the Panthers were possibly going to draft a QB, and I thought the Lions weren't going to trade back, I could have maybe seen him getting out, because maybe the Lions, pick like some defensive talent that they can, you know, groom or some wide receiver or whatever, right? A bevy of things that they could pick. I could have maybe seen him get out of the top 10, but now with the Panthers, I don't think he gets past the Panthers. If the Bengals and the Dolphins pass on him, I don't think the or the Panthers. I don't think the Panthers pass up on this guy. Like, he is insane. He is the best lineman in my opinion in this draft. Period. I think there are some other linemen that can come up close to him because they might be a little bit more versatile. But me personally, I think he is top, and he's going to be the first one picked. I mean,
He's going to be the first one picked in all likelihood.
yeah.
But that brings us into the next guy. So I'm a little bit different than Lee.
Yeah.
I think Rashaan Slater is the best lineman in this class. He's going in S tier. He's S number one. I could not get enough of watching Rashaan Slater on tape. Absolutely love his athleticism. He's stupid fast for an offensive lineman. He's all over the place. It's just he pancakes the first guy, moves on linebacker. All likelihood he's going to pancake him, remove him, and then he's out to the third level and blocking a corner or a safety. He's crazy. He has absolutely elite hands too. If his hands are on you, you're done. It's over. So you better hope that you can get them away from you or go around him or something. But that's even unlikely with how fast he is. Uh, he's not the elite strength, but his handwork is so elite that it doesn't really matter. He doesn't bulldoze all the time, but once again, his hands are on you, game over. Uh, I do believe he will get stronger at the next level. Once he's had some NFL coaching, NFL diets, all that stuff, he's going to get bigger, he's going to get stronger, which could make him a better tackle, but I like it if we kick him inside the guard. If he can do that, he will immediately be one of the best guards in the league. My comparison for him is Zach Martin if he does get to play in at guard. And that's a lofty expectation for him because Zach Martin will, in all likelihood, will be a Hall of Famer. I know that's you can throw Cowboys bias on that or not, but go look up Zach Martin on tape.
No. Zach
You'll
Zach
change your
Zach
mind.
Zach Martin is insane. He's insane.
And the cool thing that reminded me and made me compare him to Zach Martin is how elite he can be when pulling. That's when he really gets to move on to the next level and show his elite speed. And sometimes he's faster than linebackers. And that's you just don't ever see that. If he has to play tackle, which I don't prefer, he can still become an elite tackle if he gets bigger and stronger. He gets a little bit better with his footwork. Then I can see maybe more like Kelvin Beachum, so he's going to be mid-level tackle. But if you can
Sorry,
put him in at guard,
can you say that name again? You're like
Kelvin
cutting out.
Beachum. Kelvin Beachum.
Got it.
So that's a more mid-tier tackle. But if he's inside at guard, he will be the best lineman in this class. Feel free to disagree with me, but that's my opinion.
So I don't completely disagree with you. Now, so I kind of had two grades for Rashawn Slater, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm going to put him in S tier. I'm going to put him right behind Sewell. But it's only because I think he almost has to go to guard. Because of the simple fact, he doesn't have the reach to be a tackle. He doesn't have the arm length. His arm, during his pro day, his arms measured 33 inches.
It's pretty stubby.
Yeah, like that's not I if he gets drafted as a tackle, I start putting him in A and kind of like going like this edge stuff. But because I don't see in what world he's not a guard. Like, he has to be a guard almost. And for me, him as a guard is he definitely belongs up there with Sewell, 100% as a guard.
The cool thing with him though is that he can literally play anything.
No,
so if
he
you have
can.
injuries, you kick him outside and you're gonna have an above average tackle.
You're gonna have an above average tackle, yes, 100%. I'm just merely stating that his full potential is realized when he is guard, like you were saying, which is why I was saying that if I had to prospect him as a tackle, I would put him in A because of that reach. That reach in the NFL level, that's going to be a problem. He
Speed
could be
helps, though.
great.
Speed
He could still
helps.
be really good because of his speed and because of his immeasurables, because of all those other things. But I don't think he'll ever be elite because he doesn't have the reach. He can be
That's fair.
elite as a guard,
That's fair.
which is why I'm putting him in S again as a guard. If we're talking tackle, he's down at A, in my opinion.
That's fair. As far
Um,
as landing spots for him, though, he's going in the top half of the first. I don't think he goes in the top 10. I don't think he
no.
manages to climb his way all the way up there. I think at earliest he lands with the Cowboys if the Cowboys are unable to get a Kyle Pitts or one of those corners that they might want. I think he's their fallback option.
Yeah,
But
but oh, sorry. Continue.
more likely landing spots for him is the Chargers again. Chargers really need some O line help pretty much everywhere except for center now because they got Lindsley. But another more likely landing spot is the Vikings if they cannot make the swing for Orlando Brown, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, I see. I think the swing with Orlando Brown does happen. So I really feel like the Chargers grab him because, like I said, I don't think that Sewell goes past the Panthers, and I don't know if the Panthers pull the trigger on Rashawn Slater if they don't get Sewell. They might get somebody else at 8.
Or
That,
trade back.
huh?
Or trade back.
Or that. All right, guys. Sorry about that. My internet just bugged out randomly, so we are like maybe 30 minutes to an hour into the future. But we are going to continue on where we left off. So we were talking about Rashawn Slater. Um, I was basically saying I don't have him as high as Penei Sewell, and all of that good stuff. But we will continue on to Elijah Vera Tucker. Where you got this man?
I have him in B. He's going to be the first player in B.
First player
Uh,
in B, all the way down to B.
yeah.
Okay.
But Elijah Vera Tucker is another player I'd like to see kick inside, but he can play left tackle. I do like his size, but his strength and his hands don't really strike me as elite. He does have the main plus that you get with him is he's a very high floor. What you see with him is what you're going to get. His ceiling's low, though. He's not going to develop that much more. He's going to come in, plug and play as a starter, and that's going to be what you get. That's it. About a little bit above average guard or tackle, whatever you want to do. So he does offer that positional flexibility. Do think he's going to go in the first round. As far as comparisons for me, he kind of reminds me of Elgton Jenkins with the Packers. That little bit of positional flexibility, a little bit above average kind of guy. Pretty solid overall. As far as landing spots, maybe even the Packers joining Elgton Jenkins because the Packers just need O line help all over. Other places would be the Steelers because their whole O line is just gone. They all left. We talked about that recently.
Yeah, we
And then
did. We
another
did.
spot would be the Chiefs, who also have a similar departure. They all three of those teams just need O line help everywhere, and with that positional flexibility, you get him solid starter immediately. They're picking at the end of the first round. That's all. That's really all you can hope for. So
No, and that is completely fair. And so I'm gonna be a little bit higher on Elijah than you are, just because I really do like his quickness. Though he is pretty quick. And another thing is that he avoids bending at the waist. He doesn't give up that leverage too much. He bends more at the knees, keeping him grounded and keeping him able to not be pushed back, which is nice. Like you said, he's solid, and he's not really like you said, he doesn't have a super high ceiling, but like he's going to come in and you're going to be able to fit him into your scheme most likely from day one. I've got him going day one. Um, I mean, I'll be honest. From here on out, I'm not high on pretty much anybody. I think pretty much everyone else are projects or sus for other reasons, and I'll get to those when we get there. Um, but Elijah, I think he's the last lineman to go round one. So I think these are going to be your first three linemen picked. And I think they might be the best three. Minus other things, obviously, like from other people down when we talked about them. But I like Elijah Vera Tucker. I think he's very solid. And like you said, late round one, basically those three teams are the three teams that like late round one are going to pick up somebody like him. Um, I don't see people like the Ravens grabbing him just because I think they have other needs, and signing just Mitchell Schwartz would be enough to be able to draft, later on.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Packers are really like the ones that need it now. And again, he could just plug right into there and work very well. Like you said, he could be a tackle or a guard. So he's got upsides for any of those teams, which is why I think he goes in the late first round. But continuing on to Christian Darasaw. Sorry if I horribly mispronounced that name. But Christian, let's move on to Christian.
So with Christian, uh, I don't like him that much. He's in B for me, but I think NFL teams do see him a little bit higher than that. I do think he's going to go in the first round, but I have him in B.
Below,
Yes, below. So with him, I'm a little bit sus of his groin. He's got some minor injury scares there consistently over his college career. So that's a little fear for me. But if you throw that out, he's an excellent left tackle prospect, good size and length. The main thing that I'm scared of is that he gets lazy on random plays, just out of nowhere. He gets it's like he forgets what he's doing. He forgets where he is and he just lets people through. Um, he's too reliant on his natural ability because he's extremely able. He just God given talent. And uh, so to me, he's going to need an extremely good coach to smack some sense into him if he's really going to reach that level, which he can, which is why I have him in B and why I think he's going to go day one. He has it. Just will he ever realize that and get past that laziness? I don't know. He reminds me a little bit of Laramie Tunsil, and that's my comparison for him. That's kind of a ceiling for him, though, is the potential of the Laramie Tunsil. And I don't think he ever gets paid anywhere close to what Laramie Tunsil is making, like we made fun of the Texans for earlier. But as far as landing spots for him, I see either Washington or Pittsburgh in the first round.
Interesting. Okay. So you think he's going to get picked before Vera Tucker?
I do. I do. I think because his talent is more so than Vera Tucker. Really, the only knock on him is that he gets lazy and take random plays off. But if you have a good coach like Washington does with Ron Rivera or Pittsburgh does with Mike Tomlin, they ain't going to accept that nonsense. He'll go right to the bench. And I do think he values playing. So I don't
That's fair. And those two coaches could probably get the most out of him. But for the reasons that you just said, I literally had it written down. Great run blocker, but seems to not finish strong and slow reactions.
yeah,
Like,
it's literally like he forgets where he is
yeah, like
and he zones out.
I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Um, but but again, you can't argue. Like, I can't argue that he isn't like monstrously with his immeasurables, with just his God given talent. I I can't argue that, which is why I couldn't put him in C. I would if I could, honestly. I really don't like that lackadaisicalness, especially from an offensive lineman who is going to be protecting the most valuable asset on the entire team.
Yeah, and B, he's an 80. He's right there on that fringe of C for me.
Yeah.
I was really close.
No, yeah. No, exactly like I just said. I would put him in C if it wasn't for those immeasurables. That's the only reason why he's in B for me. The only two people that should take him in the first round are those two that you just said. Because for me, he's a day two prospect at best. Because just because I am so sus of that not finishing strong. I am very sus of that. But if he can get over that, he could be great. He could be phenomenal. You know, I mean, still maybe not necessarily the Laramie Tunsil, but I mean, hey, maybe he fouls less than Laramie Tunsil. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Um,
His game still reminds me of Laramie Tunsil, though.
no, of
And
course,
Laramie Tunsil had those lazy issues at the beginning. He did.
no, 100%. Um, so yeah, like that's just where I am with him. That's I hate to say it. I wish he wasn't like that. I want him to give more, but he just doesn't. But moving on to a name I can pronounce, Alex Leatherwood. Very simple.
I
Uh,
like that name.
yeah, it's a very easy name. But yeah, where do you got this guy, Joel?
I have him in B, but above Darasaw.
Okay,
Um, so he's an
so
excellent left tackle prospect. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure. So below Elijah, above Darasal.
Yes. Uh, excellent left tackle prospect. He's good, but not great in everything. Kind of similar to how Vera Tucker is.
Okay, yeah.
Um, needs some hand placement work. He struggles with some of the more elite defensive linemen. They're able to beat him in the hands game. Uh, he's always going to be solid, though, in my opinion. His worst is in run blocking. Not great there, but in pass blocking, he's pretty elite. And in a passing offense where the passing is central, he's going to be he could be an excellent lineman.
I just want to say real
My
quick before you continue, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I literally had that written down. Literally, that he was a great pass defender, and that is what the league needs. Moving to this heavy pass offense, we
yes,
need people like this guy.
for sure. As far as NFL comparison for me, it's Tristan Wirfs. Easy.
Okay.
He looks a lot like Tristan Wirfs. Um, and then as far as landing spots for him, he's either going to go at the end of the very end of the first to the Chiefs, or he's going to go in the second to the Bengals if the Bengals do not pick up a lineman in the first round. Because lineman is right there at the top of their list, and if they don't, they need to snag a guy like this at the
One
beginning of the second.
100%. I completely agree. And for basically the reasons you just said, I have him above Darasal myself in B. So another reason why I put him in B is I do feel like he is still a bit of a project because I mean you still need to get better at run blocking. I'm not saying that you only I wasn't trying to say that you just need a great pass blocker, but with this pass heavy league, having somebody who's a great pass blocker already and just needing to work on the run stuff, I would take that over some of these other guys that we're about to talk about. And the other thing he needs to kind of worry about is that he doesn't really move defenders. Now, he doesn't normally get moved either. It's more of kind of like a stalemate. But it would be nice to be able to see him push people away, aka like in the run blocking.
Exactly.
Um, but I mean, I completely agree with you, Joel. I think he's a top round two prospect. I think the only team that's going to grab him in the first round would be like the Chiefs because they need O line. They need O line so bad, and we've already made fun of him for it, so I won't get into it that much. Um, but yeah, so he is definitely a top day two prospect, and I would almost bet on the Bengals not going O line in the first round and then going O line here with
Entirely possible.
and most likely picking Alex. Like I would almost be willing to bet on that personally. But moving on to somebody who is maybe like a fun idea because he was a defensive lineman, now O lineman in James Hudson. His stock has been climbing a good bit.
Hmm. I like James Hudson a lot. I'm the one who pointed him out to Lee. I've had my
Yeah,
eyes
he
on him
did.
for a little bit. Uh, Absolutely love him as a project. If that's the way you want to go in the draft and pick a prospect, let him sit for a year, further develop him, let him play a little bit as your sixth lineman, goal line situations, swing stuff. That's excellent. Huge upside. He shows so much potential. He could easily become one of the best linemen in this class in the right situation and if allowed to develop. Um, I love his personality as well. Just that switch over to offensive lineman, giving up D line that he'd been playing. And I listened to an interview he gave with the guy.
Okay,
He's fun. He's got a big heart, big personality.
that's cool.
Uh, Very strong, very athletic, but very raw, obviously, since he's only been an offensive lineman for a single year.
Yeah,
Um, but in a year or two with the right coach, like I said, I could see him becoming one of the best in this class. And also one of the few remaining guys that hasn't ended up kicking inside, like we've talked about with a lot of these guys.
yeah.
He's going to be a
He's a true
tackle,
tackle. He's a true tackle.
definitely.
Which if you need a good tackle, yeah. But also Joel, where do you rank this man's?
That's right. I have him in B, actually. I'm
Okay.
that high on him. He's going to be above Darasaw also, but behind those other two. Um,
Spoiler alert. That's exactly where I have him.
um, but as far as my comparison for him, I see him as a little bit of a DJ Humphreys from Arizona.
Okay.
He can he can really become like that. His game very similar. As far as landing spots for him, also the Bengals in the third. If they still haven't grabbed an offensive lineman, if they wait that long, this
Wow.
man could be excellent for them. And with how the Bengals are run, also
I
double
mean,
dipping at the position is not necessarily a bad idea either. Say they go Sewell in the first round, come back around in the third round, he's sitting there, he's best player. Go ahead and snag him. Your whole O line's trash. So get as much help as you possibly can.
but and
Um,
Joel, real quick, which side of the line did he play?
Mostly left tackle. He
Okay.
can't. I think he can switch. I don't think he's locked into left tackle, but he
I
is
mean,
a
yeah. I mean, he
tackle.
only played 1 year. I just that was the one thing I forgot to look up with him was which side of the line he played on.
Yeah, but uh, as far as the other landing spots, also Seattle in the third round. They just need O line help in general, and they don't have picks earlier than that. So grabbing somebody with as much upside as him would be wise. Because
No,
in
yeah.
2 years, he could be one of the top talents from this draft, and they managed to snag him in the third round. That's a win all the way around. Uh, I don't think he's going to go on the second, but his originally he was a nobody. His stock has climbed up into day two. Usually with stock like that, it's going to keep on going up till draft day. So I could see him going as early in the second to the Packers. I could see
Ooh,
that.
that would be. I think that'd be a very good pickup for the Packers. Now another team. Now this is again. The main reason why I asked earlier is because one of the teams I had written down, and again I had forgotten to look which side he was on. So maybe this is a little not as good of a pick. But the Ravens. Ravens still need a little bit of O line help. And if he falls to the third round, that's a beautiful spot. Well, I say falls, but if he stays in the third round prospect as he currently is, that would be a really nice spot for the Ravens to pick up a lineman like him. And if they sign Schwartz, have him learn under Schwartz? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and if he does end up as a left tackle, learning under
Or
Stanley
learning under
is not a
Stanley?
bad.
Yeah, like
Because Stanley could have injury issues from here on out.
he could.
It could.
That is fair. It still wouldn't be a bad idea to grab a left tackle.
Yeah, in the third round, if you pick up a premier backup for your old line,
No, yeah. So I think that that could also be another really good spot because while the Ravens O line isn't terrible, it still could use just a touch, just a touch. You know, they just need some more depth basically, and they need a legit starting right tackle. But again, I think they get that with Schwartz. Continuing on though, to some people who normally play the interior in Trey Smith. Where you got him?
I have him in C.
Okay.
I don't like Trey Smith that much. His injury scares are pot. There's some other guys on here who have had significant injuries. Nothing as much as this poor man. It's not his fault. He's had bad lung clots several times. He might have an underlying heart condition. His mother had one. Now there's fears that he might. His stock is plummeting like nobody's business. Um, if you remove all the injuries from the equation, he's a massive, just man mover at the guard position, particularly at right guard. Extremely powerful and explosive. He does lack at like that elite athleticism or flexibility. He's pretty much locked into right guard. That's where
Yeah,
he's going to play. Uh, he's a big finisher. You see a lot of pancakes out of him, but
that is
he's got
fair.
slow. He's got slow feet. As
That
far
is also
as
fair.
like NFL comparison, everything that I've ever looked at or watched with him, they compare him to Assimile, Kalicia Assimile. He looks like it, so I gotta echo chamber it.
I
it.
mean,
He's almost a clone. It's kind of crazy. As far as where I think he's gonna go, at one time he was a first round prospect. He's plummeted further and further down. His game is still pretty good, so I think he's still gonna go in the second, though he could go as late as the third, depending on if a team wants to risk that health and what their doctors have cleared on him. Uh, so I'm as far as just landing spots for him in general, because I don't really know where he's going to go. Is he going to be the Giants or the Chicago Bears?
okay, yeah, I could I could definitely see both those places. I also have him in C. I was very much debating between B and C, but man, that the blood clots, that is, oh, I feel so bad for the guy. I really do. Like like you said, that's just genetics. You can't really control that. It wasn't anything that happened on the field. All of his on the field stuff is just, I like him. He's solid. I put solid left guard, but again, just that the pulmonary issue with the blood clots. And like I said, I was debating all day between B and C when I was initially ranking all these prospects. Um, but I couldn't
Couldn't
I
in good conscience
I
put him
couldn't
in
in good
B.
conscience put him above Darasal when Darasal could, like, he's, an injury is probably not going to end his career.
No,
At least he doesn't have a history of it.
yeah,
Blood clots in
just
your lung, like,
twice.
yeah, like
That's
that could definitely prematurely end somebody's career. And it's sad. It's really sad. I hope it doesn't. I hope he has a fantastic career, even if it's just for like 5 or 8 years, something like that. Maybe not as long as other linemen, but still like a good decent career, you know.
mm,
Um, but yeah, it's very sad to see with Trey Smith. But moving on to Wyatt Davis, what do you think of this guy? What where you got him?
I have him in C, just above Trey Smith.
Okay,
Um, he's fringe B for me. I was really close to putting him in B. Knee issues have plagued him somewhat. Not horrible. I think he can get past it, but it's there, which is part of what knocks him down. Because I was right hovering on the edge. He's a right guard. He should. This is one of those late round picks that you get that should start from the get go, which is really cool. Because usually when you're getting to the third round, you're picking a developmental prospect or even a backup. He's gonna start when you plug him in. Um, he's got a really high floor, very low ceiling though. He's an absolute mauler with excellent feet, but just randomly, it seems like they get stuck in concrete when you watch him. They just stop going, and you're like, where'd that come from? I think that may be the knee bothering him, possibly, but I'm not sure of that. Uh, as far as comparisons for him, I have AJ Cann for the Jaguars with as far as his play style and as far as his consistency. Like, he's going to be slightly above average guy, always going to be out there, but unspectacular. Never going to highlight. He's going to mess up occasionally. Just going to be that cog in the
In the
scheme.
machine,
So
yeah.
so as far as landing spots for him, I do think he's going to end up going in the second round, maybe to the Bills. They need some guard help, and then also the Giants.
Okay. No, that is I think the Giants might be good for him. They definitely need some more O line help. But I was the same with you. I was debating between B and C, and I put him low B. I have him at the bottom of my B tier. Um, and I could very easily even put him behind Trey Smith in my opinion. Because there's one big stat that I really did not like when I saw it, and it's that in 2020 he allowed 2 sacks in both of his first games of the season. Four
That's a little
sacks
rough.
in 2 games.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, but his run blocking is great. He has great ground game blocking, but again, it's like opposite of oh my word. Oh, Alex Leatherwood. It's like the opposite of Alex Leatherwood. Great run blocking, but not great pass blocking. So I was like scanning my notes, like, wait, who? But continuing, but I'm going to put him above just because like I said, he does have a great ground game, and I think that he can develop that pass blocking game. Obviously, I'm not as sus of his injury as I am of a pulmonary injury. I probably
Mm-hmm.
said that wrong, but whatever. The blood clots. Um, and I do like what I do like what I see from him. He does seem like he's going to be solid at the bare minimum. So I could definitely see a team taking a chance on him in the third round. Now I don't think he goes second round. I do firmly believe he's probably capped in the third round prospect in my opinion. Just because he is such a project. Like I said, like basically everybody below A for me are basically either projects or I'm sus of them for some reason. And so I think he heavily falls under that project category, and he really needs to work on that pass blocking game to really make a difference on a team, and not even like meaning like he could ever be elite, but just make a difference, like be good. Um, but moving on to uh, some centers, we've got two of them in Landon Dickerson and Creed Humphrey. We will talk about Dickerson first. Joel.
All right. I love him. I know he has so many injuries, and it's bad. I have him in B still. He's my second B prospect. The injuries are bad. I gotta grant that. I do have faith in his ability to recover. He always recovers. He always gets back out there. It's just different injuries every time.
Where
And
do you got him in B? Please, for love,
second B guy.
you have
I
him
know.
above Alex Leatherwood.
Yep, because he has that potential with an NFL regimen. He just if you remove the injuries from the equation,
If you
I'd
remove
probably
the
put
injuries
him
from
in S.
everybody,
No, I know. I get
he
that.
has three
Okay.
season-ending injuries in college.
I know. I'm usually injuries are usually just write him off for me.
Three season-ending, and then another one that was season-altering.
No, I get it. Okay, I get the sus on him. The potential is so good. He's gonna have to be round 3 or later if I'm a GM. He's gonna have to be. Uh oh, you have him down at C. Okay, but
Bottom.
if I were a GM and he's still sitting there in round 3 or round 4, and after my guys have done an evaluation on him and they're not too scared of him, now I would have to rely on the medical evaluations, of course. But I would do cartwheels up to the podium like this man, like what he did in the pro day behind Mac Jones, where he was doing his cartwheels while he's recovering from. He's just so fun and he's so cool. He's got a stupid high football IQ when he's out there. Uh, Elite pass protecting center with great leadership qualities, because that's what you want most out of your centers. Great leadership. So even if he's hurt, he can still be leading, which is something. Uh, as far as when he's on the field, he does remind his play is Travis Frederick esque, but he's no Travis Frederick. Okay, he's no Travis Frederick, but uh, he's going to be a great pickup for somebody in the later rounds, I think. Uh, and if not for his injuries, he would be going in the first round. So that's what you got to remember when you're drafting somebody in the 3rd round or the 4th round. You're picking a maybe. That's the best you're going to get. And he's definitely that, because if he can get past these injuries, you've got yourself your starting center forever. As far as landing spots for him, I could see the Giants looking at him in the 3rd round or the 4th round, and also the Packers. They really need somebody to replace Lindsley. And if you can draft a starter in the 3rd or the 4th round to immediately plug in, that's what you got to do. Lee really doesn't like me right now.
So remember when I said earlier in the show where I feel like I'm going to be Joel today? I didn't know Joel was going to be me. This
Usually we're
man,
reversed on this issue.
he you can say
Hey,
all the good things you want about the man. I get it. I get it. He could be elite. He could be this. He could be that. I get it. First round talent, blah blah. He's been injured so many times and it's been his legs.
different though. Different each time.
Eventually it's going to be the same. Eventually it's going to be a re-injury, and when you have 4 different injuries,
You're 4 times more likely at those. Yeah, no, I got it. I understand. I told you I understand the sus. I am usually the complete opposite. Just watching this guy,
I get
my heart
watching him.
is like.
I get the hype, but it's just I'm putting myself in the shoes of a GM. There
I
is
told you I
no
gotta wait
way.
for my medical
There
announcement.
is no way in hell that I spend higher than a 4th round pick on this man.
Okay. What
There
if, what if what if his stuff comes back clear though?
he has 4 different injuries, and any
Okay,
one of them can be re-aggravated at any time.
that's fair.
He is a center. He is going to be in the middle, and has to either push people out of the. He's going to be one of the main people to direct the traffic for run blocking, or he's also going to be the main person blocking the interior defensive lineman from coming in at him. He's going to get a lot of time on his, like, there's going to be a lot of wear. That's better word. There's going to be a lot of wear on him. Again, I wouldn't spend higher than a 4th round pick on him, because I would not start him day 1. I would have him behind somebody, give him a little bit of snaps here and there to see how he can do. And you slowly work him into that and see how far you can push him, how many snaps you can give him each year. uh, Go game by game for the first year. Give, maybe if he does really well with, like, I don't know, 5-10 snaps, maybe
You don't
you.
want to be doing a timeshare at center.
Huh?
That's not. you don't want to do a timeshare at center. Center is the most important offensive line spot because they're basically the second leader of the offense. They
No,
call all the adjustments. You don't want it. You don't want a timeshare. It's
that's
either
fair,
he's in or
but
he's out.
what I'm saying is that you can't just throw this man into the fire with the injuries that he has had.
No, you're right. You have to ramp him up. You
Yeah.
ramp him up in the preseason, and you see how it goes. And
Oh,
then
okay. That's fair. That's fair. Preseason to see how it goes. But I've kind of forgotten about it because they're slowly getting rid of it.
no, that's fair.
Like that,
That is the
what's
one
going to be
benefit is
two
the
games
preseason
next
is for guys
season?
like this. No, I think it's still three, but uh, I mean that's the benefit of the preseason is for guys like this is because you can really truly evaluate them rather than throwing them in and then who knows what happens kind of
No,
thing.
that's fair.
I
But that's basically what I'm trying to say is that and for somebody who I'm going to be evaluating through preseason or throughout the season, I don't want to spend higher than a fourth round. Maybe a third if I really need some O line help, if I really need some center help. But I'd be even really reluctant to give that third.
it depends on the situation. It depends what the medical evaluators have to say. You have your
That's
guys
that.
look at him.
I guess for me, I don't see how the medical evaluators come back with just being a like, oh yeah, no, he's 100%. There's no way.
No, that's fair.
And
I get the sus. I couldn't the potential. It's just so
yeah, and sometimes it's unfortunate that potential gets ruined by injuries. It happens all the time, which is why I would not get over. I would not. Let me just say this: looking at yours right now, unless if you put Creed Humphrey into A tier, you're saying that you would pick this man as the fourth lineman.
that's not what I'm saying.
It's
It's
kind
not.
of what you're saying.
I put him there based on his potential because that's where I needed to put him mentally.
God, I
I would
just
not necessarily make him the fourth lineman off the board. See, that's the difference.
no, I know, no, I know. I'm just
There's a
saying.
big disparity.
I know
There's a
there's a bit of I know you're saying he's probably going to go in the third round. I'm just saying that it I couldn't put him past Trey Smith. I couldn't do it.
I'm less sus of him than Trey Smith.
I will even do this. I can't put him past Creed Humphrey. He's in the very bottom.
Wow. Okay.
I
That's,
three season-ending injuries and then a fourth season basically altering injury. Like he's
no, I
had a
get it.
major injury every single season.
I get it.
It's
But
just
we gotta move past it here.
that which is what I was doing by putting Creed Humphrey there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where you have Creed Humphrey. You have
Yeah.
him in C.
Yeah, I've Creed Humphrey in C above Dickerson. Sorry, I almost forgot the guy who I was just ranting about. Um, the things I like is that he keeps his feet moving and he does stay square. Now he's not super strong at the point, and again is another person who needs work. He again, like I've said before, all of these people in B and C are projects. All of them. I, except for like again, there's a couple people that's the injuries, but at the same time, I almost count the injuries as projects because you have to see whether or not they're going to pan out, which is kind of like a project.
Oh, that's fair.
If you think about it like that, you know what I mean? So for me, all of these people need work. They all need something to help them. I see him again, probably going in like the third or fourth round. Um, just some team that probably has a decent O line, but just needs some extra center help. Uh, I mean these two centers are really the only ones in this draft. So and the Packers really need a center. I I almost don't know if I would grab either of these centers if I was the Packers. But I mean, if they grab one of them, it it's going to be one of these. I mean, obviously it's going to be one of these two. I I I'm sorry. I am so just mind. puzzled right now that like I can't even words. Um.
I told you one of mine
Oh.
was gonna shake you. I told you.
Oh man. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I would almost flip a coin between between these two centers because one super injury prone but has a bunch of upsides, and the other guy who's a super project who needs a lot of work. I almost I would almost put them as the same person in my opinion. In my humblest of opinions, I'd almost just like fuse them and like put them as the same spot here, just because it's really a flip of the coin which one goes first, in my opinion.
That's fair. Um, but I have him at the very end of B tier. He's right on that fringe for me.
Okay.
Uh, the thing that makes him that high is because once again, what you're looking for in a center is a leader, and he's that. He was a captain for 2 years at Oklahoma. 2 years. That's pretty impressive. He does have some minor injury fears too, not as bad as my buddy over here, Dickerson, but does have the minor Achilles fears. But going back to like just his game, great size, except that he has a little short, stubby arms. But once again, you can get past that depending on where he lands, depending on who's playing next to him. You can play around it. Uh, has a high IQ, pretty good athleticism, great core strength, but kind of weak feet. He can get pushed back. Footwork's not great. Uh, Not an elite run blocker. And though he's a center, he can play anything, which is nice. So, like, if you draft him, say, in the third or the fourth round, he's going to be your sixth offensive lineman. If you have any injuries anywhere, you plug him in, and
No,
you're going to have an average guy. So
that
that's the benefit to him.
that is very nice. So yeah, no, that's 100% fair. You could definitely have him as that person that can just come in anywhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you're looking for when you're drafting a backup offensive lineman. Is that guy that can kind of you have a guard go down one game, you throw him out there. Then the next game he's playing left guard. The next game he's playing right tackle. The next game he's playing 2 games in a row at center. And he may play like 15, 16 games, but at 4 different positions. So that's always cool to have because your offensive line is one of the most banged up position groups. But moving on, I see him as kind of a Graham Glasgow for the Broncos with that positional flexibility, and I think he can possibly reach that level of just he's solid. He's solid. Never a superstar. Never going to make the big bucks, but just kind of cruising. As far as landing spots for him, I could see the Steelers in the third round. They just need O line help, and he can be an excellent boost. Also, Seattle, same thing. They just need somebody who can play everything, and wherever their position battle loses out, you throw him in.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Um, no, those are decent spots. Sorry that I was a little bit incoherent. I am I am definitely taken aback a good bit. Um, but that is going to be our O lineman. I would very much like to move on from this. This is almost hurting me. Um,
Wow,
but
I managed to offend him.
no, I'm not gonna say I'm offended. I'm just saying that it's a lot. It's a lot to to take in. Think the guy who literally pegged people down because they had injuries, and me, the guy who was like, no, they're still good. Yeah, the one guy that I was like, oh, Joe, this guy's got 3 season-ending injuries, and then a fourth one.
I
No,
know. Usually,
no.
usually I
His talent outweighs. I we're not. This is not going to be the Landon Dickerson show. We are moving on. We are going to D lineman. Okay, going to D line. We're talking about Quiti Pay because he is amazing. But yeah, that is going to be um
everything for this week.
yeah, that's yeah,
We had a
that's
full
everything.
week this week. That was a lot longer than I think either me or Lee intended, but it was a
Yeah,
lot
and
of fun.
I think it was because of the O lineman. I think it was a
I
lot to
shook
go
you.
through. It was a lot to go through. But
No, that's true.
anyone that stayed and watched it all, thank you very much for watching all of this. If you're just watching the shorter clips that I'm going to make, thank you for watching those as well. Um, Please, we would love to know uh, your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe, do all that good YouTube algorithm stuff. Um, and look forward to next week when we do talk about edge rushers and linebackers. And we're also going to be talking about the NFC and AFC West. Finally, the last teams that we need to talk about before the draft comes up. But until then, we are signing off. This is Two Nerd Sportscast. I'm Lee.
And I'm Joel, and we'll see you next week.